everybody, welcome back to our channel Autistic Multiple Life. This channel was created to erase stigma around autism and dissociative identity disorder and other type of neurodiversities, and to raise awareness around intersectionality and people who is intersected of different marginalized groups. Today, fronting, controlling this body, Abu Hamza al-Muhajir, and I'm Niami and Little Mowgli, I think. And I want to speak about evil alters, because you know the stereotypes, you could find it in Split, you could find it in other movies, sometimes with scrappy, really with scrappy kind of representation like Split, about evil alters, that every person with dissociative identity disorder or many persons have this kind of beast. Okay, at first I want to speak about kind of discrimination that we faced. I don't know, it's the same with many marginalized groups. It's like I used to say in Russia, when Russian Vasya kill someone, it's just Russian Vasya kill someone. But if Abraham, Jewish Abraham kills someone, it's all Jewish are dangerous. The same I think with black people, of course. If a black guy have some argue with police could it was more often when police started to behave violently toward this black guy, and they decided this black guy was dangerous. But if white guy behave in the same way, it's just like, okay, sometimes people behave like this. The same with people with mental disorders or neurodiversities. The most famous person with dissociative identity disorder is Billy Milligan. He's famous because he raped women, but we knew only one person who raped women and have dissociative identity disorder, and we knew dozens of famous serial killers and people who raped someone and sexually harassed someone and was neurotypical. But no one decided that all neurotypical people are dangerous, of course, okay? So all this stuff about evil alters is pure ableism. And, okay, now I want to speak about what kind of, I don't know, reasons of these stereotypes exist in the real world. That, yeah, many people, many systems, when I say systems, I mean people with dissociative identity condition, or OSDD, it depends, and people with OSDD or dissociative identities, they are called system. Okay, when a system have this kind of abusive alter, or sometimes with dissociative community, this alter is called persecutor. And I noticed from my personal experience and experience of other guys with dissociation that many times this persecutor could be kind of just alter persecutor, it could be interject of abuser, and it could be real guys who decided that they're evil, or some mysterious figure, I mean, for example, imp or devil or stuff like this, alter who decided that they're imp or devil, or even sometimes even Jesus or God, but the God that judge everyone. And I would speak about all these three categories based on my own experience, okay? At first, about just persecutors. The most strong persecutors in our system is this kind of just strong persecutors. It's Verba, and recently it was Amir Malik. And Amir Malik and Verba, they are teens. Verba is 12 years old, Amir Malik is 15 years old, and Verba is very strong trauma holder. She was my co-host in the most difficult period of my life. in teenage, when I graduated from school and was in university. It was awful experience. And she remember many kind of abuse that I don't remember, and even if I remember, I don't have this kind of emotional memory about it. So he just survived really strong abuse at home and bullying in school, and this kind of situation when they believe that they are going to hell, and was praying all the time. And yeah, after that, of course, she is really scared. She is afraid of that she is not good enough. She could start to spoil something to me in my relationship with my wife Lena, or for example in my everyday life, just to punish me, because she is afraid that God would punish her. We was from Christian Orthodox family, really religious family. I mean, when most of people in Russia don't ever read Bible, even if they call themselves Christian. Our father was the one who don't just read Bible, but listen to constantly listen about lectures, read some academical stuff, more just religion, scientist stuff, but yeah, and give advices about religion. And we was facing this kind of religion abuse, and so she tried to spoil many stuff just to punish us, because she is afraid that she is going to hell, we are going to hell. So it's because she's trauma holder and misleaded protector, I think. And yeah, she's problematic teen. For example, she tried to kind of, I don't know, justify our parents when our parents behaved with us when we was adults, like we are little kids, and she tried to justify just preventing us from going to bathroom. And we have a problem with our kind of hygiene, with I don't know, and sometimes was dirty and smelly because of it. But for Verba, it was kind of way to justify our parents, because she still like our parents. Or she sometimes behave in awful way for other people. I mean, asking over and over and over again if these people would love them, love her, if this person wouldn't just stop to communicate with her. Because she used that people betray her. So yeah, she's problematic teen, but she's not evil. The same with Amir Malik. Amir Malik, I think he is kind of maybe stereotypical problematic teen in many ways. It's like, I don't know, something between Anakin Skywalker from Star Trek and Ben Linus from Lost. He liked to manipulate people, he liked to manipulate people. In the same time, he became very angry. And he appeared when we feel that powerless. And in his story, he was powerless because he was a child, and because his parents bring him to war zone. He believed that this was reality. And he behaved in this way. He scared to really kind of trust someone, and decided that manipulated people is a good idea because of his past. And even when he became so angry, it's because he don't have nice life. He was living in war zone. He believed that he was living in war zone, and in reality we was refugees, such country, and was so scared about our status. So in outside world, it was not so nice time too when he appeared. So you could understand him, and you could understand Verba. They're problematic teens, but they are not evil. So yeah, this first kind of persecutors, just people, sometimes co-hosts, that could be a strong protectors, I think, in some situations, or could be just alters. Sometimes maybe they wouldn't ever become a strong protector, they wouldn't ever become a proper protector, but at least they have their own problems. They could be trauma holders, they could be response to violence in outside world. Okay, there are two other categories: interjects. First of all, interjects of abuser. We have our verba have kind of subsystem. She have her own alters, her own system, and in this system exist our parents interject exist. So these alters believe that they're real our parents, they behave like our parents behave, and they appeared because we was frightened of our parents, and it was kind of whereby it was kind of, if our parents would be constantly with us, it would be more easy to communicate with real parents. It wasn't decision, it was like more some consciousness decision. So she stuck with our parents in our system, and it was kind of protection, you know, when you live with these people, see them all the time, maybe you would understand them better, you would react to them better in outside world, or you at least would be more prepared, and yeah, but they exist now, and even for Verba it was kind of justified that maybe they were right. And now they tried sometimes to punish us. We find a decision. They would communicate with a different alter, not with Verba or kids, because they tried to scare all of us using kids, using the most weakly, because really our parents was covered. They would never try to, I don't know, blackmail person who's strong. And now they communicate with Abu Aziza if something happened, and if it's important, we would communicate with them. Yeah, they interject of our parents. In many ways, they behave like our parents. Our parents are singlet. Our parents are people from outside world, and they're not evil. They're not pure evil. They could be abusive, but they're not pure evil. And this kind of culture, they abuse it toward us sometimes, but you could communicate with them. And a really important stuff to understand if you have an interject of your abuser in your system, it was, this is not your abuser, this is just an interject. And this alter could start to behave differently. You could communicate with this alter sometimes, you could find a way to communicate with them, or you could ask other alter who is more strong to communicate with them. And second, this kind of interject of abuser most of the time appeared like kind of protective mechanism. Maybe dysfunctional protective mechanism, but it was kind of protection. It's not your fault. It's not you means that you are not strong enough. Okay, so yeah, and the third way, I think it's more common to be more common stereotypes based on the third type of kind of persecutors. It's when persecutor believes that there's some mystical creature. They could really believe that they're kind of beast. They couldn't behave like beast and split. Your body wouldn't change. The soldier wouldn't have kind of superhuman ability. But the soldier could believe that they're beast. The soldier could believe that they're devil. The soldier could believe that they're imp. Or sometimes the soldier could believe that they're a good guy, like we Verba have in her system this kind of Jesus, interject of Jesus Christ, but like strict Jesus, Jesus who punish people for sins. And this guy, he's not like most of us are just alters, but he partly fragment. He don't have many his own thoughts, despite the thought that was in our religious community. And sometimes he just forget many stuff, don't know why he's doing it. But at the same time, he's not fully fragment. He's alter. In many ways, it's something between fragment alter and full alter. He don't have just one function, and it's very, because it's very important for him to be a rightful Jesus, to real Jesus Christ, that we will believe in it. And he could trick Verba. The Saltuses appeared because of Verba religious trauma, but yeah, it's difficult sometimes with him. But when he started to behave in an abusive way, we tried to explain that real Jesus Christ wouldn't believe in this way, and sometimes ask people who would respect him, but at the same time who is not Christian, to communicate with him. I mean, people inside our system. Uh, and we have this kind of note. This Jesus Christ is not a real Jesus for Verba. It's in our case. So if she's fronting and sees this note many times, maybe it became more easy for her to remember when this kind of Jesus altar tried to scare us. Yeah, and the same I think with imps, with devils. You need to understand that this is not really devils or not really imps. This guy started or not really genes. This guy started to believe that they're genes or devils. The Salter started to believe in it. It's like just because of most of the time because of religious trauma or because of trauma in early childhood when a child decided that they're not good enough, that they're evil, and part of them became kind of this devil. Or because of their community tried to brainwash them to say that they're possessed, and one of the altar became like devil. But any psychiatrics, any psychologist said to you that it's nothing to do with spiritual world. It's just protective mechanism of your psyche that give birth to this altar. And many religious communities that respect science in any way, they would agree with it. And I see articles from Muslims, I see articles from Christians, from Jewish people who write that don't behave like this person is possessed if person with deed have this kind of altar, please. I think it's better to communicate with your psychotherapist about this question and find a way to communicate with this altar, to speak with them, because yeah, this is not a devil, this is just an altar, this is just an interject, like I don't know. We have Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time as interject in our system. He's not persecutor, so I don't speak about him, even if he's the dark one, but he just co-host, a nice guy and romantic altar. I would give link about him below. Yeah, so about this altar. So yeah, he just interject, he don't have magic. Like this kind of devil's altar. Devil's altar don't have this kind of power. They're just altars. So yeah, it could be evil altar for you, evil altars that abusive toward you could exist. Sometimes some altar could harm someone in outside world, just like singlets could harm someone in outside worlds. But many persecutors don't try to harm someone in outside worlds. They're just abusive towards their hosts on other altars. And yeah, what to do in situation, how to speak about situation when some kind of system behave in abusive way. I think like you speak about situation when singlet behave in abusive way, and if we speak about abuse that face it because some system is abusive, it's not even about persecutors. It could be about persecutors, and persecutors could be a reason. In our life, when we behave not very good toward other people, it was because of our verba. But sometimes it's just because some of the ultra is not a very nice person. And it's not nothing to do with DID in many ways. It's just because of some ultra is just like this. And it's another question. It's a question of system responsibility. It's a question of kind of acceptance from friends, and is Salty doing something really bad, just like when Singlet doing something really bad, not because of deed, it's because the Salty is like this. Because Salty is people too. They could be different. They could be different, but just personality. They could be different, like Singlet could be different. Yeah. And yeah, if we speak about alters that really behave in bad way, they have their own reason for that. And you could work with them, and just like that, and it's very cool if you who have friends or close people who understand what it is, if you started to behave in this kind of weird way like our Amir Malik or Verba, and maybe even help you to recognize when you switched. Okay, so thank you so much for your attention. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to make it more visible. See you next time, and don't forget that Split is just fiction movie and have nothing to do with real DID and have very bad representation of DID. So bye.